Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDT94, back with another reaction video. And today we're going to react to the WWE in 2008. Oh boy, we did 2006, we did 2007. 2007 was not a good year for the WWE. Let's just keep it real. It started off on a high note, it ended on a really bad note. But 2008, boy, did we turn the fuck up. And sadly, this would go on to be the last year of the Ruthless Aggression era. Me personally, I feel like the Ruthless Aggression era stopped in 2010. Because that's when I feel like the PG finally took over and everything just became so watered down. But I can understand a good part I can understand a good part of 2009. But I feel like it had to happen after WrestleMania 25 though. I feel like after WrestleMania 25, yeah, the product started to water down. But man, 2008 was a good year, bro. It's a good year, man. Oh man. Good times, bro. John Cena at the Royal Rumble. Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show at WrestleMania 24. Damn, what else happened? CM Punk won Money in the Bank. That was pretty cool. That's when I actually liked CM Punk. Edge and Undertaker had arguably the best feud of that year. Edge and Undertaker had the best feud of that year because they just had some really good matches with each other, bro. They had really good matches. Batista versus John Cena finally happened. And then John Cena got fucking injured. Oh, and Chris Jericho versus Shawn Michaels. Oh my God, that was... No, I take back what I said about Edge and Undertaker. Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels had the best feud of that whole year. Bro, the fact that this man, Chris Jericho, actually punched Shawn Michaels' wife... by accident, by the way. He didn't mean to actually punch her. The goal was to hit her, but you know, like the wrestling move hit her, like the fake punch. You know, like you stop just right there. But apparently she leaned in too close and he couldn't stop in time. He ended up clocking her. Yeah, but it was an accident though. Everybody understood. So yeah. But man, that was a good ass feud, man. Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. Man, that was a good ass feud. Oh yeah, and Shawn Michaels versus Ric Flair. How could I forget about that? Oh my God, that was a banger, bro. Let's get into it though.
2008 was a huge year in pop culture. In television, we would see the first season of Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
The Dark Knight hit theaters.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in the WWE, things would continue to move forward in a PG direction with a brand new top star being crowned. But how did it all
yeah, Jeff Hardy did become champion at the end of the year. I forgot Jeff Hardy became champion at the end of the year. Oh yeah, 2008 was lit.
Randy Orton had become the WWE champion after John Cena fell to injury over on Raw. Edge had just regained the World Heavyweight title on SmackDown, and ECW was on its dying embers. And nowhere was this more evident than on the January 22nd episode of the Extreme Brands TV show, when Chavo Guerrero pinned CM Punk to win their world title, causing the belt to become a shared one between ECW and SmackDown in the process. Of course, that would all lead us into the first big pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble, just 5 days later, as there, both Guerrero and Punk would enter the titular bout itself. Not that either of them were the focus, however, and because at least early on, it would be all about the two men who had ended things the year prior. That's right, after having a mini-match to close out the Rumble in 2007, The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels entered at numbers 1 and 2 respectively, with this continuing on the tease of their eventual showdown. But that wasn't what people were talking about come the close of the match though, as despite the clear favorites to win being Triple H or Batista, everyone would be shocked when John Cena came out at number 30 to pick up the victory by last eliminating the game.
Yeah, that shit was wild. I saw that shit live. That shit was lit.
Scheduled to return from injury for months yet. That said, with him seemingly having the healing powers of
Wolverine, I jumped out my motherfucking chair. I said, "What the fuck?"
Than anyone had anticipated. But there were other notable moments on this show too, with the biggest of these being Edge and Randy Orton's successful defenses of their world titles over Rey Mysterio and Jeff Hardy respectively.
Yeah.
Of course, if the champs thought they still had a couple of months to prepare
that RKO, that twist of fate into RKO is still
Raw,
goated.
The company challenged the Viper to a match for his belt at the following month's No Way Out instead. And that wasn't the only big storyline playing out on the Red brand then, because elsewhere, Raw General Manager William Regal was pitting Ric Flair against a new challenger every week, with the stipulation to each of these bouts being that the next time he lost, he'd have to retire. Luckily for him though, he'd be able to score a pinfall over Mr. Kennedy when the time for his next pay-per-view bout came on February 17th. And he wouldn't be the only one picking up a big win that night either, because elsewhere, Edge successfully defended against Rey Mysterio for the second month in a row, and both The Undertaker and Triple H would win their Elimination Chamber matches so as to earn themselves world title shots at WrestleMania. Of course, while it would be Edge that the Dead Man was set to challenge at this event, the opponent for the game would still have to be decided, as Randy Orton and John Cena took to the ring later in the evening. But while the Viper ended up winning this one, the fact that he purposefully got himself disqualified meant that at the Showcase of the Immortals the following month, the whole thing would be turned into a triple threat match featuring the Champ, Cena, and the Cerebral Assassin. Before we get there though, the 2008 WWE Hall of Fame took place on March 29th and saw more high-level entrants in the form of Mae Young, High Chief Peter Maivia, Soul Man Rocky Johnson, and none other than the Nature Boy himself, Ric Flair. That said, the celebrations would be short-lived for the former NWA World's Champion, as the very next night he'd face the toughest challenge to his career yet when he went one-on-one with Shawn
Golden
Michaels.
match.
Yes, it was a meeting decades in the making as two of the greatest of all time finally got to go at it at the biggest show of the year. And over the course of this one, emotions ran high, as fans gradually
This was a
realized
golden
that,
match.
while a little longer in the tooth than he had in his prime, Slick Rick was just no match for the Heartbreak Kid
10 out of
anymore.
10.
So when HBK finally put him down for good with the sweet chin music after delivering a final "I'm sorry, I love you" to him, it signaled the end of Flair's in-ring career in WWE.
Or so we thought.
And as sad as this was though, at least he got to go out with an excellent bout. A bout so good in fact, it was able to stand out amongst a stacked card, which also included CM Punk winning the Money in the Bank ladder match to earn himself a title shot at the time of his choosing, Kane defeating Chavo Guerrero for the ECW title in just 11 seconds, Randy Orton retaining the WWE strap in a three-way contest with
I hated
John Cena
that
and Triple
fact
H,
that they did
and
that.
Floyd Money Mayweather hitting the ring for a Celebrity Showdown against the Big Show. Then in the main event, The Undertaker's streak of 5-star WrestleMania classics would continue when he challenged Edge for the World Heavyweight title, with the Dead Man here picking up the win and the belt after just 24 minutes to take his record to 16-0. So with at least one new champion being crowned and one major career ending that night, it felt like a new dawn for WWE, as the following evening on Raw, Ric Flair got a final send-off which ranks among the best and most emotional the wrestling industry has ever seen.
And then he fucked it
One
all
person
up.
not happy with Shawn Michaels for ending the Nature Boy's career, however, was Batista. And that was why he would challenge him to a match at the next pay-per-view of the year, April 27th's Backlash. Before we get there though, the King of the Ring would be revived on the April 18th episode of Raw, and there, after a grueling one-night tournament, William Regal ended up coming out on top, with his victory only serving to make him even more egomaniacal and power-mad in his role as general manager, as he can now add the best wrestler on the roster to his list of accolades. That said, he wouldn't bother hitting the ring for Backlash a couple of weeks later, as there, the card would be filled up with rematches from WrestleMania, which included The Undertaker once again retaining the World Heavyweight title against Edge, and Kane beating Chavo Guerrero for a second straight month. Of course, there were some changes though, because not only would Matt Hardy defeat MVP to win the United States title, but Triple H would beat Randy Orton, John Cena, and JBL in a fatal four-way match.
That was a
to crown
pretty good
himself
match.
New WWE champion too. Even with this happening, however, the most noteworthy moment of the night would be saved for the Shawn Michaels-Batista match, as when HBK channeled his old self by faking a leg injury, then winning the match while his opponent's guard was down, special guest referee Chris Jericho took umbrage with the fact that fans continued to cheer for him despite the blatant cheating. And that would spark one of the greatest feuds WWE had seen in years. In the couple of weeks which followed, Y2J continually tried to get Michaels to admit wrongdoing. When he wouldn't do this though, and when fans remained on his side in the matter regardless, Jericho would begin undergoing the most justified heel turn ever as he morphed into a more cold and calculated Anton Chigurh-inspired character, one who always dressed sharply and spoke confidently, and who would challenge his rival to a match at May 18th's Judgment Day. That said, by the time this one was over and HBK was standing tall as the winner, it seemed like the hostilities between the two had been put to bed because they'd leave things there with a handshake. Elsewhere, meanwhile, things would not be so civil because after William
Regal shut the whole damn show down
on Raw and then rebooked it inside of a steel cage at the pay-per-view, the two rivals destroyed each other, with the game ultimately coming out on top here. And he wasn't the only champion retaining his belt, as not only would The Miz and John Morrison retain the WWE Tag Team titles against CM Punk and Kane, but Mickie James would keep the women's division alive during its darkest days when she successfully defended her strap against Beth Phoenix and Melina. Then, after the World Heavyweight title had been vacated by Edge's on-screen girlfriend Vickie Guerrero on SmackDown a few weeks prior, The Undertaker would be forced to try and win it all over, something he was ultimately unable to do, as by the end of this one against the Canadian, the Blue brand would still be without a champion. Of course, that would lead us into the next pay-per-view of the year on June 1st, One Night Stand, as there, at a show which was once supposed to be an ECW exclusive, the Dead Man lost to the Rated R Superstar in a tables, ladders, and chairs match, with this loss meaning that the heel was now the champ once more. And aside from that, Triple H would beat Randy Orton again in a last man standing bout, John Cena would get the better of JBL in a first blood contest, and Batista would finally get his win over Shawn Michaels when the two went one-on-one in a stretcher match. Following this, though, everything changed, as on June 23rd and 25th, the 2008 draft took place and saw big shockers when Rey Mysterio, CM Punk, and Batista were moved to Raw, and Jeff Hardy, Mr. Kennedy, and Kane each got shifted over to SmackDown. And this also meant that as the game was still the WWE Champion, the Blue Brand would get both world titles on its roster, heading into the next big show of the year, June 29th's Night of Champions. Still, at least there, John Cena would get one last chance to take the belt back home to Raw, as his match with the champ had already been booked prior to the draft taking place. Unfortunately for him and for the Red Brand as a whole, though, he would be unable to do this. And that wasn't the
I say 2008 wasn't a good year for John Cena. I say 2008 wasn't a good year.
Would be unable to best Mickie James in the women's title match. Perhaps the most interesting historical moment of this whole night, however, came earlier when, after abandoning his former partner Hardcore Holly and ultimately sending him packing from the company, Cody Rhodes would take the next step on the road to stardom when he aligned himself with Ted DiBiase Jr. That said, while they were at least able to adorn Raw with some tag team gold together going forward, it still left the brand without a world champion. So perhaps realizing this, CM Punk seized the opportunity when, after Edge chose to make a guest appearance on the June 30th episode of Raw, the Second City Saint would cash in his Money in the Bank contract to take home the title for the first time in his career. And that would lead us into July 20th, the Great American Bash, as there, Punk managed to come out of his World Heavyweight title match with Batista still holding onto the belt after the whole thing ended in a double disqualification. Outside of this, though, other matches on the card would have more definite endings, as Triple H defeated Edge in the WWE title bout, and Chris Jericho took the fight to Shawn Michaels again when hostilities between them flared up once more.
Yeah, this shit was good.
Wouldn't end in a handshake. No,
this shit was getting good, bro. I love this feud.
The match being called as a technical knockout for the heel. Then, in a sign of
that shit was getting good,
the Divas era would begin when Michelle McCool beat Natalya to become the inaugural Divas champion. But that wasn't the only sign of the changing times, because after this show, WWE would formally move from a TV-14 product to a TV PG one, kicking off the PG era in the process. And that new era would get its first chance to shine at SummerSlam on August 17th, as there, CM Punk took center stage when he defended his World Heavyweight title against JBL. Luckily for him, though, the champ would be able to overcome this challenge, as would the WWE champion too, because immediately following this, Triple H managed to get the better of his opponent for the night, the Great Khali. Elsewhere, meanwhile, The Undertaker sent Edge to hell when he chokeslammed him through the ring.
Yeah, that was a good match. That was arguably the best match of that whole night.
Became Intercontinental Champion and Women's Champion, respectively, in the same tag team contest. And about 6 years in the making took place when, after being separated by brands for so long, John Cena and Batista finally clashed one-on-one. Perhaps most notably, though, this night would also see the continuation of the Shawn Michaels-Chris Jericho storyline.
This shit was just good.
Because when HBK came out with his wife to announce that he was going to retire from the ring following an eye injury he picked up at the hands of his rival, Y2J interrupted the scene and successfully relit a fire under the babyface by punching Mrs. Michaels in the face. Of course, this would see the Heartbreak Kid go back on his retirement promise then, as the following month at September 7th, Unforgiven, he'd face off against Jericho in an unsanctioned match. And it's just as well that this one was unsanctioned, because it would get so bloody and brutal over the course of it that it would cause Vince McMahon to ban the use of blood on his TV going forward, with his reasoning for this being that it no longer fit the PG direction the company was moving in.
Fuck that
Still,
shit.
At least it ended with the babyface getting the win after the referee was forced to stop the bout. And it wasn't the only decisive win on this show as it happened, because elsewhere, Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase Jr. would defend their World Tag Team titles against Crime Time. And in the first two championship scramble matches, Mark Henry and Triple H would reign tall as the ECW and WWE champions respectively, even if the latter bout briefly saw Brian Kendrick hold the top prize.
Oh yeah, that scramble match.
As shocking as this was, it was nothing compared to the third and final championship scramble match for the World Heavyweight title, because after CM Punk was kayfabe injured prior to the bout and forced to sit it out, Chris Jericho shocked everyone by taking his place, and despite losing earlier on in the night, finishing things out as the new top dog on Raw. Yes, over the course of an hour, Y2J had gone from the pits of despair to the top of the world. Of course, this high wouldn't last for long, because just a few weeks later, it was announced that at the next pay-per-view of the year on October 5th, No Mercy, the best feud WWE had seen in years would finally come to a conclusion when Shawn Michaels challenged the champion in a ladder match.
Too good.
Before we get there, though, the undercard saw the Big Show get a major win when he defeated The Undertaker by means of technical knockout, Batista earned the next title shot on Raw when he pinned JBL, and Mark Henry successfully defend the ECW World title. Then, in the first of two main events, Jeff Hardy's return to the top of the card would see him take on Triple H for the WWE title. But while he wasn't able to win this one, fans still had hopes they'd see a title change, as immediately following that, Shawn Michaels and Chris Jericho put things to bed once and for all, with the World Heavyweight title on the line. In a surprise twist here, though, it would be the heel that ended up winning the program, as after 22 minutes and 20 seconds, Y2J was able to climb the ladder and retrieve his belt. Of course,
I hate
he
it.
had he still had to defend that strap all over again at the next pay-per-view of the year, October 26th, Cyber Sunday. And like the same show in prior years, this one would see fans vote on different match stipulations and entrants. The biggest of which was the main event, seeing Chris Jericho defend against Batista, with Stone Cold Steve Austin.
I voted for Randy. I don't care what y'all say. I voted for Randy.
There to keep order, then.
I knew y'all niggas was gonna vote for Stone Cold. I voted for Randy. Fuck y'all.
That wouldn't be the only big moment of the show, because elsewhere, Jeff Hardy re-entered the main event scene when he was chosen to challenge WWE Champion Triple H in an unsuccessful effort. On top of that, The Undertaker got revenge on The Big Show during a Last Man Standing match, and in a fun nostalgic segment, the Honky Tonk Man would defeat Intercontinental Champion Santino Marella in just over a minute. As well as this, the female roster would compete in a costume contest won by Mickie James. Surprisingly though, John Cena would not play a part on the show. Of course, that wasn't because the WWE had given up on their golden goose or anything. No, rather they were just saving him for the following month, as it was announced on the 800th episode of Raw soon thereafter that he'd be challenging the World Heavyweight Champion at November 23rd Survivor Series.
Yeah, I hated the fact they announced that.
Well, that was decided later on in the same show, as in a steel cage rematch from Cyber Sunday, Chris Jericho would manage to regain the top prize on Raw, so as to walk into the winter as the undisputed top dog. And that would lead us directly into Survivor Series then, because while Big Match John was getting ready to challenge Y2J, elsewhere, the other big main event would see Triple H defend his WWE title against Edge and
Vladimir Kozlov.
Surprisingly though, in both cases,
garbage.
A new champion would be crowned here, as not only would Cena win the big one for the fourth time in his career, but the Rated R Superstar would start his own sixth reign on top of the mountain. Aside from that, however, the rest of the card wasn't nearly as noteworthy, as it would be filled with largely forgettable 5-on-5 elimination contests, and an even worse casket match between The Undertaker and The Big Show. So it's just as well the last show of the year was much better, and the reason this one is so well remembered is because it saw a popular tag team star finally reach his full potential and rise all the way to the top of the card. Yes, despite his personal issues, by this point, Jeff Hardy was so over with fans that he was actually outselling John Cena in merchandise sales. And given how much of a backlash there still was against Big Match John from a vocal section of the fan base, it only made sense WWE would decide to pull the trigger on someone who people seem to unanimously love then. That was why, in the main event of the final pay-per-view of the year, Armageddon, it would be Hardy going up against Edge and Triple H in a three-way bout for the WWE title. And on that night, after a match which lasted just over 17 minutes, the charismatic Enigma scored the winning pinfall to become world champion for the first time.
Man.
Like he might even...
man. Y'all just don't know, bro. Y'all just don't know, bro. Y'all just don't know, bro. When Jeff Hardy became WWE champion. When I tell you we pulled up the next day with the Jeff Hardy arm sleeves, Jeff Hardy t-shirts, and then we just started doing the nigga, we was going crazy, bro. I had the WWE Championship, I had the WWE Spinner Championship, I came to school with that bitch, I was his champion! I walked around the whole day with that championship in my arm sleeve. Bro, we was some real wrestling nerds back then, bro. Oh, man. Y'all just don't know, man. Pulling up to school with your friends, like, I know you saw it. Yeah, I saw it. My nigga won! Oh my god, bro. When he won, bro, we was just like, yo.
Ain't this what they've been waiting for? You ready?
We broke down, bro. You don't know. I used to pray for times like this. Oh, man. We used to pray for times like this, man. And then it finally happened. What? Nigga, we was just happy as hell. Jeff Hardy was WWE champion, bro. Y'all just, bro, you, if you know, you know, bro. Oh my god.
John Cena as the face of the company. Of course, if Cena had anything to say about this, that wouldn't be the case, as earlier on in the night, he'd been able to successfully defend the World Heavyweight title against Chris Jericho. Elsewhere, meanwhile, the rebuilding of CM Punk would begin when he won a #1 contendership match so as to get a future shot at Intercontinental Champion William Regal. But that wouldn't happen until the following year because, another brief stopover in Iraq for a tribute to the troops show aside, this would mark the end of 2008. And sure, it hadn't been a perfect year. That shouldn't suggest that there wasn't good here too, because with the Shawn Michaels-Chris Jericho feud still standing as
fire,
great,
fire.
Jeff Hardy and CM Punk.
Oh man, that was the best moment
there was
though.
plenty of hope on the horizon that 2009
Oh man,
it was going to be a lot better.
that was arguably the best fucking year to be a wrestling fan.
So this is footage that I took when I visited
Hey, go back. Care about,
2008 was a huge year in pop.
care about no fucking footage, bitch. Man, 2008 was just a good year to be a wrestling fan. Floyd Mayweather versus Big Show, Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair WrestleMania match. Oh my god, such a great story. Chris Jericho and Shawn Michaels. We got John Cena versus Batista. Jeff Hardy winning the WWE Championship, bro. It didn't get no better than that fucking year, bro. Bro, y'all don't understand, bro. That was just some good times, good memories, man. But yeah, man, that's just gonna about end it off for this one, man. I'm gonna see y'all next video. Tell me what y'all think down in the comment section below. I'll get back to you today. Peace out.